I think spiritually growing up is realizing that I've had a lot of church hurt, and there is a lot of me that is still hurting, a lot of me that's still angry, very, very angry. I did a video earlier on my channel about how I don't believe in God anymore. And I talked about a lot of things in that video. But for me, that was like a setting myself free, a realizing that the only God that I've ever needed and that has ever existed is the one inside of me. I did some meditation and some prayers a few minutes ago, and I said, "Thank you, God." And it really hit me in a different way, because whenever I would talk about God or think about God, I change the name of God in my mind. I call that part of myself, or the I don't want to say just the masculine part of myself, but the oversoul of myself, benevolent God, because the word God triggers so much anger in me. And I feel like, well, a few things. I feel like a lot of the hurt that I feel and a lot of things that I still don't feel like I can forgive right now is how God, quote unquote God, the Christian God, made me hate myself, made me feel like I was unworthy, that I was a sinner, that I was no good, that I was unworthy in the eyes of God, that I was lesser in the eyes of God. Made me feel like anything that I do, unless it was perfect, was a mistake, or anything that I do is a sin. And I think the sensitive people really understand how that type of dogmatic thinking can really transform how you see yourself. It plants this seed of unworthiness at a very young age. When you hear people shouting in the church, "I'm unworthy. We are unworthy of his love." What the fuck do you mean? If God is everything, why would it be unworthy of its own love? And it made me think about that when it comes to myself, when it comes to me loving myself. Why am I unworthy of my own love? And a lot of that I can tie back to Christian teachings, especially being a woman, that my only, my greatest attribute is the vision, is being in the eyes of a man. I was talking to my uncle not that long ago. I was like, there is not one woman in the Bible who is not connected to a man in some way. Either she's a wife or a daughter or a concubine or seeking a man. They would, like, a lot of people talk about Esther. Esther spent what, a year, 2 years of her life preparing for a fucking man? 2 years. I remember for 2 years or a year of her life preparing for a man. Not not getting her degree, not learning how, not building her own business, not doing anything for herself. She spent all that time preparing for a fucking man. What was it, Mary Magdalene? Considered a whore until she met Jesus. She was no one. There's no representation in the Bible of a woman being strong and filled with love unless she's connected to a man. And that's disturbingly disgusting to me. And that was something my uncle never thought about, because he's like really in the church and stuff like that. But anyway, things like that, it eats away at the deepest parts of you. You know, it eats away at your confidence as not just a woman, but a human being, that you are born to serve God. You are born to serve something that created a world that looks like this, For me, when I take myself out of that equation, if I'm born to serve God, then I'm born to serve myself, my own highest good. Because when I am at my highest, everyone else around me is at their highest too. When there's love in me and it's overflowing, it overflows onto everyone else around me. I was only born to serve myself, and everyone else gets the bonuses from me serving myself. Like I said, I feel like there's a lot of things that I just can't forgive yet. But I can forgive myself. I can forgive myself for not knowing any better. I can forgive myself for allowing others to influence how I see myself. I can forgive the messiness, the messiness of my life. I can forgive myself for seeing myself as less than, seeing myself as a sinner, seeing myself as, I'm only valuable in a man's eyes. That, like, people say, you should dress, men don't want to, what? I think I saw, what was her name? Claire Huxtable. I can't remember. Felicia Rashad. Talking about how women dress, how men don't want to see. Fuck men. I think I talked about this before. I spent my whole life hating my body because it was considered unacceptable. I was overweight, quote unquote overweight, which I never was overweight. But I spent my whole life like that. And now you finna catch all this ass. You finna catch the titties. You finna catch the belly. You finna catch all these arms. You finna catch these thighs. You gonna catch everything. Like, fuck that. I do what the fuck I want. And whenever I live my life in that way, I'm 10 times happier. But I can forgive myself for all of that. For believing I was anything other than great and amazing. And the only God that's ever truly loved me is the one that's been waiting to love me my whole life within myself. I felt this deep hole in my life, in my heart, in my being. And I realized that hole was not from being empty. That hole was from rejecting parts of myself that I deemed unworthy. And it wasn't until I realized that, you know what? Why am I doing this? I don't have to reject myself. I don't have to live like this. That I can have love, that I can love these parts of myself and there's nothing wrong with them. They're just different. And that's okay. And I realized, and just as quick, like just as that hole felt like it was unable to ever be filled, it filled itself. And now I'm just relearning how to love those parts of myself. So I let go all of that shit. And being the highest thing that I honor in my life has really freed up space within myself that was filled with a bunch of nonsense. So I don't know where any of that was going, but I just feel like I needed to say it. I hope you have a good day. Bye.